Welcome to Green TV, Independent Green Party and Green Party Green TV, the show that focuses on independent Green Party and Green Party candidates running for state, local, and federal office, and positive Green Party, Green New Deal, eco jobs for the economy solutions, solar jobs, wind jobs, geothermal jobs, real jobs.
I'm Brooklyn Kinley, the independent Green Party candidate for the Arlington County School Board.
On today's show, we have Ralf Fuecks, the author of Green Growth, Smart Growth. Ralf was with us on Green TV last week, and we had so much fun talking about the positive solutions that Ralf's new book, published by Anthem Publishers, offers. Ralf Fuecks, thank you so much for joining us on Green Party Green TV. It is an honor and a pleasure, and I am an unabashed fan of yours. I have been for these many decades. I watched you lead the Green Party in Germany in the 1980s. Of course, you were elected state senator in Bremen. And since 1996, you have led the Heinrich Böll Foundation. The Heinrich Böll Foundation is the world's leading think tank on Green Party visions and positive solutions. Ralf Fuecks, we humbly and gratefully welcome you once again to Green TV.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be with you.
Ralf Fuecks.
Thanks for all these compliments.
You're welcome, sir. Ralf Fuecks, why did you write Green Growth, Smart Growth?
I think because we need a kind of positive vision. Yes, we can approach to the enormous and very fundamental challenges we are facing if you're looking to climate change, the loss of fertile soil, the accelerating water crisis in large parts of the world, or the loss of biodiversity. So, but the answer to that is not to be in despair, to mobilize all creativity and all potential of innovation of our modern science-based society to find positive solutions to these challenges and to create a better economy and a better society.
Ralf Fuecks, you write in the foreword to Green Growth, Smart Growth, if Green Growth, Smart Growth breathes new life into the debate and inspires enthusiasm for change, it has fulfilled its purpose. Well, it certainly did that at my house when I read it last weekend, and it has among members of the Independent Green Party and members of the Green Party in the United States, and now gaining a broader audience. The book first was published in German in 2013. It was beautifully translated, updated this year. What was the reaction when you brought out the first edition in Germany?
Oh, it stimulated quite vivid debate in different constituencies in the green and environmental scenery. It was debated quite controversial because you may know that in Germany we at the same time are facing a renaissance of the no-growth and degrowth movement. Remember the Bible, the first manifesto of the global environment movement. The report took the cup of Rome by Dennis Meadows and his team. So this idea of limits to growth still is a very basic way of thinking in the green community, and to a certain extent I'm challenging that. Of course, there are environmental limits to growth. There's no doubt about that, but these environmental limits to growth don't set kind of static limits to economic development and to social development, because there's another factor coming into play, and this is human ingenuity, human innovation and creativity. And at the same time, the book had quite interesting reception in the business community. I was invited by a lot of business circles, economic association, the German Federal Industrial Association. So you can see kind of convergence between the debate within the business community and environmental community. And this is just, I wanted to foster this kind of convergence between the environmental and the economic scenery in Germany and beyond, because I'm convinced that greening the economy demands a kind of new alliance between the environmental movement and innovative and progressive parts of the business community.
Ralf Fuecks, the author of Green Growth, Smart Growth, a new book out that shows us the positive way to go and how to make we're over here, we're over there, we're over there. I'm sorry. Green Growth, Smart Growth, the new book by Ralf Fuecks out. And Ralf, we are thrilled to have you on the show today. Ralf, you're talking about making money with eco jobs for the economy. You're talking about making profits. And of course, that is something that thrills most of us. Quickly, a personal story. I've installed just what you're saying. The line in the book that made me just laugh out loud is that buildings now, homes now, can become profit centers. And that is the case for my house. With please go ahead, Ralf. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is type of, we name it prosumers, households at the same time becoming producers of heat. Of course, they still are consumers of energy, and this is changing the whole energy economy very fundamentally. In Germany, meanwhile, we have 1.2 million private households involved in renewable energies, providing solar or wind energy. Of course, is an enormous challenge to the old energy monopolies, the utilities which had been used to dominate the market, and they lost this kind of dominance, and they are challenged from below, from bottom up. And this is part of the green energy revolution. Germany started about 15 years ago, quite successfully. Meanwhile, we have 30% of renewable energies in our power portfolio. So, and it's going on with rapid speed. The energy system is changing fundamentally. And I hope very much this will become an encouraging example, especially for the developing countries with their enormous energy demand.
We're talking about Green Growth, Smart Growth with its author, Ralf Fuecks. And I can testify to the truth. My house with geothermal heating and cooling and 51 solar panels produces 10 times the energy it consumes. And I get a check for about $1,400 every 3 months for my SRECs. These things, Ralf Fuecks, that you describe in your new book, Green Growth, Smart Growth, did not happen by accident in Germany or elsewhere. The Green Party in Germany is in each of the 16 state legislatures. The Green Party is governing in 9 of the state legislatures in coalitions. Ralf, isn't that more than the current Chancellor's party?
Yeah, it is. But of course, still the Green Party, I would say, is a relevant minority in Germany. But we are no longer kind of isolated minority. We are becoming access to the majority of the people, and we are even becoming access to the business community. So the idea that greening the economy is not a threat to prosperity, it's the other way around. that greening the economy will lay the grounds for the future prosperity is becoming more and more popular in Germany. And this, of course, is part of the Greens Party success. And it's not just a partisan issue. You know, over the last decades, there was a very broad education process in environmental issues. So the whole public way of thinking, the public discourse, changed very much. And this is part of this green success story in Germany.
In Green Growth, Smart Growth, Ralf Fuecks, you talk about the green revolution. You talk also about a new way of doing green business. And of course, that's been greatly impacted in Baden-Württemberg, for example, that now has a Green Party governor, and the cities of Freiburg and Stuttgart that have Green Party mayors. Baden-Württemberg, is this correct, Ralf? Is Baden-Württemberg, along with Bavaria, they are two of the economic engines of the 16 German states?
Yeah, absolutely. Baden-Württemberg is an industrial powerhouse. Very, very innovative. There are a lot of universities, a lot of research and development, and a lot of not only big but small and medium companies now involved in green technologies in the widest sense, in resource efficiency, in recycling, in renewable energies, in e-mobility, mobility. It's a very broad landscape, economic landscape. And interestingly, the fact that for the first time there's a green governor in one of the industrial powerhouses in Germany didn't create panic, you know, in the business community. It's the other way around. I would say we are creating new synergies, and I'm quite optimistic that Baden-Württemberg will become a role model for Germany at large.
As someone like myself who, Ralf, attended the University of Freiburg, I was thrilled to read in your book about, and help me if I mess up the pronunciation, ordoliberalism. In other words...
Ordoliberalism, yeah.
Ordoliberalism. What is that, Ralf? Tell us.
It's a school of economic thinking combining market economy and entrepreneurship with kind of strong political regulation. Though the basic idea is markets can be a perfect economic instrument, but they need political regulation, they need a kind of legal framework to work correctly and to work in the right direction. For instance, prices should tell the economic truth. Prices should reflect costs. And this was not the case in terms of environmental degradation over the last decades. You know, the atmosphere was used as a kind of waste dump for CO2, and it was for free. And a lot of externalities had been creating our environmental crisis. So it's the task of policy, it's a task of public policy to introduce green taxes or to introduce a cap and trade system for CO2 in terms of making the economy sustainable, making it long-term sustainable, and changing the patterns of production and consumption. So a kind of active public policy is not in contradiction to a very vibrant market economy. This is the basic idea of ordoliberalism.
Oh
Yeah.
boy, we're cooking now. I mean to tell you, we're rocking. One of the things that is also wonderful about Ralf Fuecks' new book, Green Growth, Smart Growth, is the generosity you show and the praise and acknowledgement of so many other great green thinkers and authors, and several of them Americans. You cite the American eco-visionary Paul Hawken and Amory Lovins and Hunter Lovins for their seminal text, Natural Capitalism.
Natural capitalism, very, very important book, pioneering this kind of new thinking of a green economy, which is working in line with nature and not in contradiction with nature. This is, of course, the clue of that title, Natural Capitalism, kind of capitalism which is cooperating with the natural ecosystem instead of destroying the environmental conditions of the human civilization. And still, Amory Lovins, of course, is one of the most important thinkers globally when it comes to renewable energies or to efficiency technologies. And he is representing this kind of American optimism, that we can find intelligent solutions to the self-created problems of the industrial society.
Ralf, I absolutely love the optimism of green growth and smart growth. You have a chapter on eco-capitalism, emphasizing the opportunities and showing where all around the globe people are making good money and doing good at the same time. What are some of the things that come to mind you want to talk about?
Oh, it's a very complex issue. It starts with the kind of new kind of, I would say, moral consumerism, that more and more people are not just asking how cheap something is, how cheap a device is, or how cheap a T-shirt is, or how cheap a chicken they want to buy. They are starting to ask, how is it produced? What is the ecological footprint of a product? What have been the labor conditions? What kind of pollution is connected to a certain kind of a product? And this is kind of new consumer power changing the way of production. At the same time, in modern societies with a certain extent of environmental consciousness, creating environmental scandals has becoming a business risk. So it's in the interest of modern businesses to look for environmental safety, environmental security, and at the same time to look for, I would say, good labor conditions, because this will improve their moral capital, and moral capital matters in the modern economy. And if you are serious about climate change, it's absolutely clear that in the future only these businesses will thrive, only these companies will be successful, which are able to reduce their environmental footprint and to produce in an environmental friendly way responsible products.
You're watching Green TV with Ralf Fuecks, the author of the new book, Green Growth, Smart Growth. This is Brooklyn Kinley with me. Ralf, thank you for teaching me so much in this great new book. I really was astounded to read that almost $1 trillion tax dollars, uncollected subsidies, go to big oil all around the world. This goes to an entire another section of the book where, and you alluded to it earlier, where we we have to have companies and societies, people understand, I believe your phrase was the true economic price. Did I get the phrase right, Ralf?
Yeah. 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 So, in market economy is based on the idea that prices are reflecting the true costs. And this was not the case in terms of the long-term environmental costs of our current way of production and consumption. So we need new instruments to internalize these kind of long-term environmental costs and to reduce and abolish subsidies to environmental destructive branches and industries like the oil or coal industry. There's a lot of rumor and criticism about subsidies for renewables in Germany, but de facto subsidies for fossil fuels are much higher than for environmental friendly alternative energies.
Yeah, here in the United States, that big oil company Exxon doesn't pay any federal taxes, according to what I read, biggest corporation in the world. The Green Industrial Revolution, you write in the chapter, The Green Industrial Revolution has already begun. Where has it begun, Ralf?
Oh, it has begun, for instance, in Germany with the energy transition process, shutting down our nuclear plants and now starting to phase out also coal-fired plants with the very rapid build-up of renewable energies from 0 to now 30% of our power generation portfolio. But meanwhile, it has become global. If you are looking to China, China now is champion in wind and solar energy. China is starting to build up a new e-mobility car industry, cars based on battery power. Even in the United States, you have a very mixed picture. In 2014, the United States had been, I think, leading in building new wind capacities. So I'm quite optimistic that we are already in the beginning of a very broad and global industrial revolution.
Ralf, Brooklyn Kinley was impressed with one of the opening quotes there in Chapter 4, the Green Industrial Revolution.
It says, the purpose of thinking about the future is not to predict it, but to raise people's hopes.
Yeah, of course, per se, you can't predict the future, and this is good. If we would know exactly what will happen tomorrow, I think this would be not very stimulating for our own efforts. But if you want to create a better future, an alternative future, you have to raise people's imagination, and you have to feed their hopes that there could be a better future, there could be a better world than today, and that we should not be afraid of change. We should embrace change.
You also talk about the Anthropocene, and thank you, Ralf. I'm not too much of a snob to admit I didn't know what the word meant until I read it in your book. And of course, well, tell us, Ralf, what does it mean?
Oh, it's a new kind of scientific thinking that meanwhile we reached a new stadium in the relationship of humankind and nature, and that human society has become a defining force for our natural environment. We are changing our natural environment in rapid speed, and up to now we are doing it in a very critical way. risking our own environmental future, for instance, by changing the climate in a very dangerous way, or by environmental degradation, soil and water and biodiversity. So, and becoming aware of that humankind has becoming a factor of natural change reminds us that we have to take responsibility for the natural system too. We are not only responsible for our human lives, we are becoming responsible for the planet. And we need a kind of global environmental governance to make sure that this planet remains a friendly environment for future generations.
You're watching Green TV, Independent Green Party, Green Party, Green TV, with the author of the new book, Green Growth, Smart Growth, Ralf Fuecks. Ralf, poetry in this book as well, from none other than Wolfgang von Goethe. Grief, woe, a beautiful world by your violence has been destroyed. I loved in the book how you took these classic stories known to us all and interwove their themes into green growth, smart growth, and how it's not all deep and dark, but the future offers green profits and offers the opportunity to feed, clothe, and a better world for the coming 9 billion folks that we're expecting to see in 2050. Oh my goodness, Ralf, I see by the clock, you're going to have to come back again to another.
We are running out of time.
We're out of time. Ralf, thank you so much for coming on the show today. It has been, as always, an honor and a pleasure. We salute you, sir.
Bye-bye.
It is.
Brooklyn Kenley, thank you. We'll see you again next time.
Thank you.